Hi again, it's Bill Knabb from Inkwell with another one of our podcasts. We are doing Tales from the Inkwell, and I am here with absolutely one of my most favorite people in the world. Gabrielle Threet has been nice enough to join us. I'll give you a little bit of an introduction as to who Miss G is, and then I'm going to let her introduce herself. We had a big contest that we kicked off this year for the Western New York community. And the only requirements we said is we need teachers to tell us how technology can change their instruction. And they made a video. When we were thinking about who to have podcasts, I thought, who better than to have a podcast with than our first ever winner of the Inkwell's Classroom Makeover edition. So, Ms. G, Gabrielle Threet, welcome.
Thank you.
Podcast. Why don't you tell me a little something about yourself?
So, as you said, I am Miss G. I am a STEAM teacher. So, STEAM stands for the Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Math. I've been in education for about over 10 years. Although I haven't been in education longer than 10 years, I've also have a lot of experience working with our community youth and in different nonprofit organizations.
Very good. So tell me, what's the draw for you? You're looking in education because people always know that we all get into education for the money because we make tons of money that's out there. So
That's not true.
I do. So Gabby, tell me the draw. What is it about education, whether it's in a traditional school setting or a lot of the stuff that you do with outreach? Why that for you?
Honestly, I chose to be in education because of the simple fact that growing up, I was an at-risk youth.
Okay.
And as an at-risk youth, some of my home life situations didn't allow me to even become interested in school. I hopped around from, I believe, over 12 different schools. And school wasn't fun at first. However, when I went to high school, I finally met a teacher that showed a lot of interest in me, not only academically, but socially and emotionally. So, that teacher was able to successfully help me graduate from high school. And because of that, this is my way of giving back to my community is just being a support and a champion to other students that may have difficult lifestyles at home and things like that. So I drew to kids. That's always been my desire to work with students. Like I said, in any capacity, whether it's in the community, whether it's in after school programs, whether it's in traditional classrooms. I love working with our students. I do not give up on my students because my teacher didn't give up on me. So that's a lot of the reason why I got into education. I think more specific with education, I was a student. I didn't like just the traditional classroom setting, papers. It was just like, you read a book to me, I'm just like, yeah, whatever.
Sure.
But just being in a classroom, I wanted to make learning fun. A lot of the students, if you provide them with hands-on activities,
Yeah.
And of course, you build that positive relationship with them, they become more acceptable to learning.
This is personal for you, isn't it?
It's very personal. It's very personal. Yes.
You're talking a little bit about the differentiated instruction there, how just the traditional pen and paper doesn't really work for everybody. It didn't work for you.
Right.
I want to talk to you about technology because you know that I'm a tech guy at heart. So let's think about this a little bit. So how has your instruction over the past 10 years or so changed because of the technology that's been available for you?
To be quite honest with you, I've worked in a lot of community schools, and in our schools that's currently in the city of Buffalo, of course, we lack a lot of funding due to like the overpopulation of our schools. Of course, every time something gets cut, it's always cut from the education system. So we lack a lot of resources in the schools. And I can just say after 10 years, we're just now getting laptops for every student and things like that. So to me, technology is becoming a big thing, not only in the schools, but in society
Sure.
as well. So, we went from having blackboards to now interactive boards, whiteboards, projectors, things like that. I don't know if you remember, we had the projector where you had to put the piece of paper
Yep,
flat on the screen
I do.
and try and move it around so that it shows correctly on the wall.
Gee,
So
I have a book here in my office that says 500 ways to use the document camera. Some of
yes,
them you don't want to know, but I mean, we got very creative with using the limited technologies that we have. But document cameras at the time were absolutely fantastic.
they
But
were,
I hear you when
especially
you're
with
talking
the
about
magnifying glass.
sure, well, because it gave you an opportunity where you could be looking at the document, but also have eye contact with your kids.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
you sitting with them in the middle of the room, and it took. But it's so they'll. I mean, those days again, good. But now we've moved forward here a little bit. So you
Yeah.
started mentioning interactive panels and interactive boards and different things like that. You talk to colleagues, and I know in Buffalo it's a struggle, but you guys are getting there, and you're getting a lot more technologies now available. But you talk to colleagues, you see the seminars, you see the different things that are out there. Is there any certain piece of technology that you're thinking, maybe not even just a piece of hardware, but is there something that you're looking at saying, you know what, in the future, this thing's going to be a game changer in classrooms?
Okay, so I'm very big on technology because that's a piece of me as a STEAM teacher.
Yep.
And one of the things that I've utilized in the past, in one of my schools that I worked with in the city of Buffalo, one of these schools had the opportunity to have a technology grant that they pulled down from an outside organization. And they had 3D desktop touch screen computers.
Wow.
Yeah, and that I would really love to see every school have a 3D dimensional computer lab,
Yep.
especially for science, because the students are able, when they explore the body, they're able to look at the organs, the body, the skeletal system, all at once, the muscular system. And it's pretty cool. I have yet to meet another school that has that technology. So I've been in contact with that school as well because I'm like, where'd you get it from? Our students need this.
They do.
And I think it's also, resourceful for any grade level, whether it be kindergarten all the way up to high school. Another thing that I love is, I don't know if you've seen it yet, it's the smart tablet, the smart table.
Yep.
And, that helps out with like the social piece because the students have to work together, team build, of course, the academic piece because they're interested in the technology.
Sure.
And then also leadership. A lot of students then feel responsible. They feel like, I'm a leader because I can play with this technology and not realizing they're learning at the same time.
So I think what you're talking about there, because I have seen it. So if you think about like one of our interactive panels that we have there that traditionally is going to be on an upright like this, there's screens that are out there that actually take that interactive panel and then turn it down to a tabletop. So now you have your 65-inch interactive, 75-inch interactive table. Now here's the kicker. We were really starting to launch all of those things and getting into that type of collaborative model of teaching instruction about a year ago. And if you're looking at this in months and years to come, a year ago, we're right at the beginning phases of COVID. So the whole idea of, hey, let's bring 4 or 5 students up to this interactive table and have them do the very things that you're talking about, it just wasn't going to be possible because of social distancing and everything like that. So stay tuned to things like that because
I'm excited.
I think that collaboration and those things are going to be right around the corner. But I heard about the 3Ds. Okay, I mean, you want to talk about immersive learning? when people say, well, the stuff just kind of jumped right off the page at me, it's literally doing that when you talk
Yeah.
about those 3D models. I mean, and it doesn't get any better than that. So I remember when I first started seeing 3D models, and I thought, all right, could this really make an impact on education? And it has. So I'm thrilled to hear that about you, that to think that you're gonna see that movement. A couple of questions for you. So in years to come, I want you to think, how prevalent of a role do you think technology can or should play in education moving forward?
I'm going to be honest with you. Technology is one of those things where even though we may feel like, oh, technology may distract the student, because I know there's always, pros and cons to everything.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to think of it with the technology. However, the way society in our generation now in the 21st century, we have to smarten our kids up with technology. I mean, if you think about it, they're starting to now take tests on a computer. They're starting to read their books on a computer because, we're kind of getting rid of the actual textbooks.
Sure.
So the way society is going, we have to implement the technology. That's something very big. We noticed a big difference in the students once they learn a different technology. I mean, once COVID hit, of course, as educators, we were all like, what are we going to do? But you got to think about the students and how much anxiety them working on computers brought. It was no longer, oh, I'm just going to the library to work on a computer. They had to do it all the time. You got to think they need keyboard typing skills, to be able to type fast for that time test and stuff like that. So I do feel like technology should be implemented in the classroom, because as the students grow older into adulthood, they'll be dealing with a lot of technology, thinking about just the different jobs, So I definitely think it should be implemented in the classroom.
I remember sitting on a panel discussion a couple of years ago, and it was in one of the conferences, and one of the panelists, was a group of students that were sitting in front of us, and one of the panelists said, ladies and gentlemen, how many of you feel as though that you're going to be using technology in the future, computer technology in the future? And I think there was a couple hundred kids in the audience, and nobody raised their hand. And I looked, and the guy was kind of dumbfounded, and I grabbed the microphone from him, and I said, sir, I don't think they understand your question. I said, because you asking them if they're planning on using like computer technology on a daily basis is like somebody asking you 10 years ago, do you plan on using the phone today? Mm-hmm. And it has become a part of their everyday life.
It is.
And we can always have those conversations about, textbooks versus ebooks, or, using a keyboard instead of the cursive writing, or, all those.
Yeah.
We can always have those discussions, and that's fine. But you cannot pull the pig out of the python here. We have walked into a direction where technology is prevalent in just about everything that we are doing on a daily basis. So I'm with
it
you.
Is.
Go ahead.
I don't know if you noticed, but they're taking more of the written material away and replacing it with computers. Like I'm still shocked with the holographic computers, the the cell phones, and I'm like, who would have ever thought? I don't know if maybe I'm a little old, but do you remember the Jetsons?
I do.
Never would have thought that we'll be implementing them, or a drone, delivering stuff to your house, or
it's just here,
so,
G. It's here. And I think if the average person realized how automated our world has become, it would scare them to death. I mean, to think about the small amount of time that a pilot is actually in control of that airplane.
Yes.
To know that the cars that are out there today could be 100% fully automated.
Yes.
It's just the fear of are people going to accept that technology? Well, accept it or not, it is here. It is
Yeah.
here. And now we just have to try to figure out a way to adapt to it, I guess. 20 years from now, okay, they're going to have grandkids, neighbor kids, and all those things coming up to you. And they're going to say, Miss G, what on earth was it like teaching during the 2020s? What was it like teaching when COVID came through? What are you going to tell them?
That's a day of history that will always be remembered, not only from our educators, but the youth that had to experience that pandemic. Um, Definitely, I think 20 years from now, I'll probably be like, oh, we had old technology, and I do mean very old technology. I'm hoping by then, the whole school or technology isn't all holographic,
Yeah.
because I'm a little scared. So just letting them know, how technology has updated over the years. I don't know if you remember, we used to have the beepers, or the really big cell phones that never had the screen. Yeah. To now they have those type of phones where they have the touch screen, or now they're having the phones that look like tablets.
Yeah.
So just really give them the history from how technology did a big boom during the pandemic. I mean, we had no choice but to depend on technology for communication and things like that. I mean, can you imagine by then? I wonder if they're still going to be sending mail or writing
I know.
letters,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
I hope they are. I really do.
Me too.
I
Me
can't
too.
help but think education doesn't change quickly. You know that. I mean, it takes an awful lot to change education. It's like an aircraft carrier. But I have to think there's been some stuff that has been happening here over the past 15, 16 months that has dramatically changed the way that we're going to be teaching in the future. Some good, a lot of bad, but there's good. And if you look for it, you can find it.
Right.
And I'm wondering if 15, 20 years down the road right now, if we're going to look back to what happened in 2020 and say, hey, all this stuff that we're doing now with remote or concurrent or distance learning or hybrid learning or whatever, it really got its start in 2020. And that's when we first started to realize that there are certain students that are out there that can thrive in an environment where it's them and their computer and self-directed learning. I don't know. I mean, it's history will tell us what that's going to be like. But like I said, go ahead.
Yeah, you're definitely right with that, because I've had students who struggle in the classroom, just from being in the classroom setting, or you know having a attention deficit, where they're easily distracted, to where they're in their homes now learning the different technology software that's out there, Peer Deck, Nearpod, Flipgrid. The kids, they ask me now, which is strange, because before the pandemic, it's like, oh, Miss G, can I have a piece of paper and a pencil to figure this math problem out? To now they're like, Miss G, can you pull up the whiteboard fee? And I'm like, you guys are learning so much. But you know what? During this pandemic, it has also educated society, but we've educated our students a lot with technology. And that's why, like, I'm so grateful for the contest that you put out there in the community, because a lot of our students need to experience new technology. And especially with the way, like you said, the world is changing when it comes to utilizing technology, and how technology will now, moving forward, be utilized day-to-day life. And even though it's taken away because of the pandemic, it's taken away from the interaction in person, the personal touch and stuff like that. We're still able to interact over computers. We can still build relationship over computers. Who would have ever known my students are very, very educated when it comes to Zoom.
Yeah.
Sometimes my internet may kick off and then I come back in and one of the students are, they're showing a video because they were made the co-host, and it's just like they know how to mute their friends, they changed their
Awesome.
name. So it's very different. And I see it, to see kindergartens
Yeah.
utilizing the technology the way they are is awesome. It is. And I'm so appreciative for it. And like you said, the pandemic, it brought out so much resources when it came to technology, as far as with not only the hardware,
Yep.
but the software as well. You know, now who would have known there was a software out there called Go Guardian?
Right.
Where you can monitor your students while they're on their own computers at home,
Yeah.
see what they're doing, and then I also can help them and guide them and send them a link for them to get on the right website. So it's awesome.
Well, like I said, if you allow yourself to look closely, you can find good. You can always find good. So, Miss G, I want to thank you. Okay, and I want to thank you for everything that you have done. The promotion during the contest was wonderful, and Inklabs is just thrilled to play a very small role in being able to help out the area teachers too. But there's going to be more to come on stuff like that. So
I'm excited. Definitely gonna still follow Ink Labs. You guys were a blessing to the community, and I just appreciate seeing all the videos from the different schools and how creative everyone got. We seen a lot of community involvement. It was like educators coming together with other educators and other students. So I appreciate everything that you and the rest of the sponsors do for our community.
Oh, it was our pleasure. I wish you nothing but the best. You have a well-deserved summer break coming up. I hope you spend it very, very well. And just know that we'll be in touch with you very often, I'm sure.
Yes, definitely.
So again, this is Bill Nabb from Ink Labs, Tales from the Inkwell, and we'll be talking with you again. Take care, everybody.